Welcome back to the channel, Battle Brothers. I'm sure, like me, every morning you spend your days in the shower thinking to yourself, what is the strongest ranged unit in Bannerlord? Now we're going to be comparing different ranged units from different factions that all use a bow to keep it like even. The first thing we're going to do though in this video, because I've seen a lot of people test out the strongest archer unit and they're not playing the game on realistic difficulty. So it's not really a fair test, is it? So we've turned all the damage to realistic. And we're also going to be putting the combat AI to veteran, which is a new option they've added to the game. Now, I'm not sure because there's another option here that says challenging. I don't know if that means that the AI becomes mentally challenged and they're just like, and the troops are running like the wrong direction or something, but I'm going to assume that challenging is the hardest difficulty. So I want to start out with what I think is actually the best range unit in the entire game, which is the Imperial Palentine Guard. Firstly, you can get them from Imperial recruits. And if you put them as archers, they're usually, quite survivable anyway because they're in your back lines, they're getting lots of kills and experience and so on. So they get upgraded to Imperial trained archers and then Imperial veteran archers and finally Imperial Palentine Guards. Now the beautiful thing about the Imperial Palentine Guards as opposed to other factions is they have a one-handed skill of 130 and they come with a sword and shield and they wreck face in combat, which just makes them kind of like a jack of all trades. Also, their armor is extremely good as well. It's not as good as the Imperial Sergeant Crossbowman armor, but it's only like a little bit worse. They also have an athletic skill of 130, which is obviously very decent. It means they can skirmish with the enemy depending who they're being attacked by. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about the crossbow versus the bow in this video, but if you want to subscribe, I will be making a video about that in the future. Now, before we start the battle, I just want to address this because a lot of people have been saying the Battanian Finn champion is the best archer in the game. They are extremely good. They have less armor, they have a very high athletic skill, and they do have a extremely high bow skill. In fact, it's the best bow skill in the game. The developers have kind of made a mistake because they've given the Finn champion a one-handed sword when he's actually got a two-handed skill of 220. Now, the only issue with these troops and actually you using them for yourself in your own gameplay is the fact that these guys come from Battanian highborn youths. And they are not a very accessible unit to obtain. You can only obtain them from the region of Battania specifically, and they're also quite rare to come by. Therefore, the Battanian Finn champion are going to be a lot less available than, for example, the Imperial version or the Azorai version that we'll talk about in a moment. We still will test these guys out and see how they do. I just wanted to talk about that before we get started. As you can see, the enemy army is almost twice my size, but still, we're going to march up and attack him. If you please stop there, I would ask for your name. My name is Danny. I am Typos of the house Elches, though one should not be too proud of his lineage. I'll have you know I am extremely proud. I'm here to deliver you to my demands. What do you want? I offer you one chance to surrender or die. Are you mad? I am not your enemy. I repeat, yield or fight. Alright, so all I'm going to do is put them in a loose formation. Loose formation! And then we're going to go ahead and command them to get in that formation. And I'm going to move them up a little bit just so they're on top of this hill here. And that's all I'm going to do with them. Forward! Like so. We could actually spread them out a lot thinner, to be fair, but at least we can kind of see where they all are for the camera. If we did spread them out thinner, they'd all be able to shoot a lot easier. However, I'm just going to leave them like this for the purpose of this video. I can see the enemy army coming up there. So I can see the enemy army coming towards us, and it looks like we're going to start taking shots at them very soon. This is kind of the best case scenario for the enemy army though, because there's a lot of trees. There's also a giant rock in front of our men on the right hand side. So they can't actually fire. But this terrain's really interesting. I kind of want to see how we do against them. I'm actually going to leave them in this formation, and we'll do this with each of the archers in the game, and we'll just see how they actually do. But as you can see, the kill feed is lit up right now as they completely destroy the enemy infantry. The enemy army was composed mostly of infantry. They do have some archers though. As you can see, they are depleted by about a quarter so far, but they're about to engage on our lines. Now, the Palentine Guard do carry swords, and they're extremely well armored, so I mean, I'd argue that they don't even need shields. The cavalry, they have a little bit of cavalry, but it's not going to be too much of an issue. It's quite lightly armored cavalry indeed. And it looks like we've already depleted the enemy army to half, so we kind of are evenly matched right now. And we've still got our left-hand flank destroying those horses that are roaming around. And the right-hand flank have some heavily armoured cavalry attacking us. But it seems to be fine, to be honest. We have lost a few men. I could, like, at this point, I would tell them to charge, because they could easily kill those other archers in combat. But I mean, in terms of archers versus archers, the enemy have some, you know, low-level Imperial archers, and we are destroying them because their arrows just aren't doing anything to my heavily armoured troops. And as you can see, we're bringing down those horses. Nothing they can do. They're charging into our loosely formed ranks, getting stuck and dying. Many of the enemy archers are actually retreating over there as well. We lost 11 men, 21 were wounded, and we killed 367 of the enemy. Which is just, that's like their entire army, literally. They didn't stand a chance at all. I think that's their enemy general. There we go. Temion is dead. Get wrecked, son. God damn, that Imperial general didn't stand a chance. So there you go, that's the final victory screen. Let's write down 374 people were killed, 11 were lost, 21 were wounded, so 30 in total. Wow, absolutely obliterated. So if we have a look at the Battanian sort of skill tree, we'll see that most Battanians will go into their throwing ability as their main form of damage, and they won't actually be archers at all. So as we said, the archers actually come from the Battanian Highborn Youth. As you can see, the Battanian Finn Champion. So now, let's test these guys out in battle and see how they do. Against the exact same army as well, let's go ahead and attack them. Now, interestingly, up here, you'll see our power levels are actually higher than his power level currently, because obviously all my troops are extremely trained. Now, previously, the game considered that the Imperial power level was actually evenly matched against an army twice the size of us. So let's go ahead and attack once again. So once again, we're going to say, let's get in a loose formation and just have them spread out on the same hilltop in the same way, like so. There we go. Now we just need to wait for the enemy to show up. But my god, these guys are truly well equipped. Battanian Finn champions. They have lesser army compared to their Imperial brethren. However, they do have a... do they have two-handed weapons? I don't know if they updated actually. Those could be two-handed swords, because they do have a 220 two-handed skill. So if they do use their swords as two-handed weapons, they're going to absolutely destroy the enemy. But currently our armies are evenly matched, and we're just shooting some arrows, and we're already doing damage. In fact, I believe the Battanian longbow has a longer range, slightly longer range than the Imperial counterpart. Let's see how much damage we can do here. It looks like a lot. We're already laying down those enemies, and they're a lot more accurate. That kill feed is going up a lot faster than our Imperial counterparts. So definitely confirming that the Finn champions are much better at range, though we already knew that from their stats, really, didn't we? The difference is if the enemy even make it to combat, obviously the Finn would be at a disadvantage compared to the Imperials. Oh, he has got stuck and he is down immediately. It looks like they're one-handing their weapons currently, so I think they kind of need to fix that. But I mean, the enemy army is being destroyed much faster here. Even that cavalry charge from behind hasn't altered anyone. Maybe they got a couple of lucky kills, but goodness me, they're being absolutely destroyed. The accuracy of their bows is ridiculously strong. My god. So the enemy have actually retreated, and some of them are even going after them. So as you guys can see from the kill screen, They've killed 400 people, only 2 were wounded. Wow. The main difference was that the enemy just didn't make it into combat with the Finns. Therefore, literally none of them were wounded. And as you can see, half of the enemies have retreated or surrendered or died. Wow, that was insane. The Finn archers, truly the powerhouse. But the only drawback is they're just a lot less obtainable. Alternatively, we have here the Kuzate. Now, the Kuzate have the best horse archers in the game. Horse archery is obviously a lot more different to infantry-based archery because you obviously have your horse and you can run circles around the enemy and literally be impossible to kill. I can make another video about that though if you like. However, here we have the Kuzate marksman. Now they have 130 bow skill, a lot less one-handed skill, but they still have a good athletic skill and they actually have less armor than the Imperial infantry as well, which means the Imperials are better than the Kuzate marksmen in terms of foot infantry. The Aserai archers are also in a very similar boat, however they have less armor once again, so they're also not going to be doing amazingly well against the enemy. Now, rather interestingly, I've just found that there is actually another way to get Britannian Finn champions. If you are playing the game as either a high leadership character or a high roguery character, you'll have an option to recruit looters and people like bushwhackers into your party. Capture them, you can then upgrade them into freebooters, then forest bandits, and then they upgrade into Britannian Finns and Britannian Finn champions. Now, this doesn't really make sense in terms of like the lore of the game, but currently you are able to do that. So obviously the next question is, can you kill an army of 500 with 100 Britannian Finn archers? Let's have a look. Attack! Oh god, we have some really crappy terrain here.
Stand apart! Everyone, move!
Right, because we're on a hill, we have a pretty nice line of sight over the enemy, and we're already going to start raining arrows down on them and receiving a few as well. Oh mate, look at that. That is a lit up feed right now. Oh my god. It's just green with Britannian Finn champions taking out the enemy. Now the thing is that we've still depleted their army by a quarter right now, and it's going down rapidly. So the main thing, I think, is that the enemy army could actually retreat before they even get to us. Now the back archers aren't actually firing currently, which is kind of annoying, but it's a bit late for me to move them. There's like a back row of about 10 archers not really firing. They kind of need all the men they can get. So we're getting into combat now. Now I could give the AI control and they will start kiting backwards. However, I don't think it's really necessary because if you guys look, their whole army has been halved in size and many of their recruits are actually retreating at this point. I'm going to try and get out of the way here so I'm not in the way of the horsemen attacking them. They have got a flanking charge there as well, but the Finns are holding their ground. We have lost a few of them, but I mean, they're still taking out these enemies like there's no tomorrow. I mean, they don't really stand a chance, to be honest. The enemy archers are still raining down havoc upon us, and the cavalry is causing a bit of chaos. However, yeah, there's nothing they can do. They're deleting their horses. I think the heavy cavalry would be like the worst kind of case scenario against our archers. They have depleted our army by half, and I think the archers are kind of doing, the Imperial veteran archers are doing a lot of damage to the Finns right now. And the cavalry are causing so much chaos that they just can't really seem to fight back. Please stop hitting me, sir. I'm going to let the AI take control and see if they can recover this. So yeah, as you can see, the Britannian Finn soldiers have gone down to the archers and the heavy cavalry, to be expected. However, they did destroy 2/3 of the enemy army in the process. So in total, all 140 of them died, 60 were wounded, and they killed 327 of the enemy army. So in fact, most of them. Alright then, Battle Brothers, I'm going to end today's video here. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Give it a like if you did enjoy it. And I'll be doing lots more videos like this in the future because they're really fun to make, to be fair. Comparing units like this to see which one is the best versus what and so on. And I'm sure if that enemy army was Valadia and they brought all their cavalry with them, or the Asai archers, we would have had a lot more trouble dealing with them. However, that is something we can test in future videos, and you guys can subscribe for that. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and have a great day, whatever you might be doing.